Welcome to Fortnite Creative for Beginners. This tutorial is going to walk you through the absolute basics of Fortnite Creative. I'm going to take a moment to show you what loading into Creative feels like, how to use some of the basic tools, and we're going to go ahead and get you started on your journey to making amazing maps. But we all have to start somewhere, and that's what this video is designed for. Now, when you first load into Creative, you're going to see a lobby like this one. However, when you watch this video, it will most likely not be this lobby, but another lobby. And you're going to be like, well, why is that? Well, every week they put a new lobby into Fortnite Creative. So when you load in, it will look a little different. Now on the top here, you're going to find featured maps made by other creators that Epic thought did such a good job they wanted to show them off. Well, if you want to look at your map, that's this one right in the center here. It's with a gold beam. Now, your map could load on the left or the right there if you're playing with friends. However, if you're just alone, it will always show up right here in the center. Perfect. So what we want to do now is walk up to the podium and then hit select. Once you select, you're going to see this awesome menu here. Now on yours, it's going to be completely blank. Now mine is filled with a bunch of islands because I'm a creator and I create a lot. If yours is empty, that's perfectly okay. We're going to go ahead and add our first island now. On the top right, you're going to see a button that says Create New. That's exactly what we want to hit. Depending on what you're using, whether it's a PC, an Xbox, PS4, etc., click the button that's associated with that. Now you're going to see different island types. You're also going to see template islands. I've explored this a little bit, though I did find it a little bit confusing, especially if you're extremely new to creative. So feel free to check that out after this tutorial. But for now, we're going to move back to starter islands. All right, so under starter islands, you literally get to choose from one of many of these really awesome islands. And I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of awesome islands to choose from. It kind of makes it hard. Now, later on in your journey, we're going to do things like making our own islands from scratch, but this is your very first time in Creative. So what we're going to do is choose one of these presets. So find an island that you think works best for you. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose the Horseshoe Island. Now, you'll notice right here you can name your island. You could leave it Horseshoe Island, or you can simply name it to something you want, like My Island, or maybe you're making something specific. You can name it that. This is where you would do that. Don't worry though, you can always change this later. Once you're done, go ahead and hit that confirm button. Now, it's gonna go ahead and load your island. This does take a moment, but what it's doing, it's creating the island that you chose. Now, if you weren't standing close to it, you wouldn't just get sucked in like that. However, I was standing close. You'll just wanna go ahead and walk into that island portal when it's loaded. And here we are, guys. This is the very first island you're about to create and design on and make amazing art. And you're gonna be able to make your own things like a Zone Wars, Battle Royale, 1v1s. The game modes are endless, gun games. You guys can, if you can think of a game, you can eventually create it. But let's roll it back a moment and start to go over some of the basics again. So you saw what I just did here. I just jumped up. Now in order to float like this, you want to hit double jump. So jump twice really fast and you're going to be able to fly around like I'm doing right now. This is really great because you want to be able to get around your island fairly quickly. What you're noticing here too is you're going to notice that I am a kind of translucent color. Now, when you're this translucent color, which is indicated on the left there by phase hold on, all right? So phasing, that's what this is called. And what you saw me do there is go through things like trees, I could go through buildings, I could go through anything. So when phase is on, you turn this cool color and you can basically go through walls. You can go through mountains, etc. Now, if you push turn phase off, which you'll see there on the left, now notice what's happening. I'm no longer able to go through buildings. I'm no longer able to go through terrain. I'm simply allowed to go around it. There are going to be use cases for both of these, depending on how you're building. This will help you later in your Fortnite creative journey. All right, So once again, that double tap makes you fly, so just hitting jump twice. Now on the left there, you're gonna see another option called inventory. We're gonna go ahead and check out inventory now by hitting up on the D-pad. If you're on a PC or using a keyboard, take a look at the indicator on the left and see what it asks you to do to enter. Once you're in, you're gonna see this huge menu filled with amazing options. We're gonna go through each of these tabs now to give you a sense of what's going on in these awesome tabs that give you all this design power. The first one's called Prefabs, and it's exactly what it sounds like. If you're noticing, you're seeing all these awesome prefabs or locations from the game. There's even ones like the Haunted Mansion that were never in the game. So you're gonna see prefabs that are from Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and you're also going to see Fortnite Creative specific prefabs that you can use towards your liking. Like check out this really cool fairy tale castle. There's some really cool things in here, and you're really going to start loving building with all of these materials. Now we're gonna move over to the next tab, which is galleries. Now galleries is very similar to prefabs, but the difference being is you get to see all of the props broken out for all of the prefabs. And this is a little bit more organized. Maybe you don't want a prefab, maybe you want to build something from absolute scratch. This is where you would want to come to see what all your options are. Now you'll notice I was able to peek into a gallery. I did that by hitting the open button on the bottom there. So when you find something you want to look at, take a look at the bottom there and find out what button is associated to open, and then go ahead and take a look at that gallery. Pretty neat, huh? All right, then when you open and you take a look through, you can decide if you want something. Now on the left there, you can search by categories. Maybe you want nature. Now nature, as you're noticing here, is giving me trees, it's giving me ice, it's giving me plants, which is pretty neat. You could even hit things like terrain. Now later on in your creative journey, you may want to add terrain to your island or build terrain from scratch. You can also do things like choose a type of build. Like let's say I want to build something like Craggy Cliffs, but I don't want to make Craggy Cliffs itself. Well, now you're going to see every prop that was used in Craggy Cliffs. Pretty cool, huh? Now next we're going to look at devices. Now devices are a little bit more complicated and they take a little bit more getting used to. I will go ahead and link you to some great tutorials to learn about devices by clicking on the button on the top right. When you're done with this tutorial, I highly suggest checking out additional tutorials. I'll go ahead and put those in the description below. This, however, we're going to stay away from because there's just too much information to go over. Moving on to the weapons, you're going to see a lot of traditional weapons, but then you're going to see 3 new weapons that you've never seen anywhere else. The first is Prop-O-Matic. What this allows you to do in creative is aim it at an object or a prop inside of your game, and it turns you into that prop, which is pretty cool. Now, flashlight is pretty self-explanatory. It lets you see in the dark. You can actually set your island to be pretty dark. And finally, torch. This is just another version of the flashlight, but in a torch form. Maybe you're in a dark cave and you want to create like a mysterious, cavernous feel. You can do that with an adventure game. You'll notice the infinity blade is in here, which is pretty excellent. And you have a lot of these OG guns in here, as well as some new ones from the newest season. Guys, there are so many options to work with. And in later videos, I'm going to go ahead and deep dive and show you how to use all of these. Consumables. This is also really great. You can use everything by placing in wood, brick, metal, gold coins, ammo, health. You could even throw in some of the old things like stink bombs, smoke bombs, grenades, storm flips. Guys, there's some really great things in here. Porta-Fort, Porta-Fortress, the jetpack. There's so many game modes that you can create. And I'm hoping you just watching this now is opening up your mind for the possibilities of the amazing map that you're going to be creating in Fortnite Creative. The last one here is chest. Now, we're not going to go over this in this video, but this would be the tab you would go to if you want to make a custom chest. All right, guys, so we're going to move on to the tab at the very top where it says My Island. Now under My Island, you're going to see a bunch of other really cool settings. The first one is game. So everything in there is related to game. The next one are settings. Everything in here is related to settings. And same with UI. UI is things like you see on the screen, like the victory call out, the sound. Under tools, you can do things like back up your island, which I highly suggest doing. Description is pretty neat. You can write the name of your island. Now that's where you can change the name of your island, and add further descriptions to what your island actually is. Under permissions, you can choose who has access to editing your island. Now this is important because maybe you're joining with a friend and you just want them to watch you build, but you don't want them to participate. Well, you can go in here and switch from edit and copy to play. You can also make your entire island public by changing it from private and turning it to everyone. I highly suggest not doing that because you do not want people to erase your island or destroy it in any way, even if it's on accident. Now guys, I will go ahead and go in more detail in other videos linked below on the settings menu for you that will break it down for each game mode. For now though, we're going over a very top overview of Fortnite Creative. Alright, so let's get our hands dirty. We're gonna go ahead and look at trees now. Now you're noticing I have this cool nifty thing out in my hand. It's a phone. Now, when you have the phone out, hitting the hold button on the left there, you can activate the phone. Now, what you're noticing I'm doing is I'm selecting pieces by hitting the trigger button. That's the same thing you would shoot a gun with. And then you're placing things down. Now you're noticing I am placing trees down, and there's this arrow shooting down into the ground. That means that drops are turned on. You'll notice drops on the left-hand side there, and it will say drops on. With drops on, if you notice when I click and hit the trigger button, even though the tree is pretty high up, the drop is going to place it as far down as it can possibly go. You can also do things like rotate there by looking at the rotate axis. You can do roll, you can do pivot, you can do all of these different angles. And this way, you're gonna be able to move things around. Maybe you want your tree fall into the ground. All right, so what we're gonna do is place our tree down. Now you'll notice I turn drops off. And when I turn drops off, the tree does not place down. But when I turn drops on, it does. Now drops does not have to be on for you to make sure it hits the ground. You can also click on it and just make sure it's lined up and get it on the ground. And in some cases, drops being off is actually better than drops being on. So once again, with drops on, you're gonna see me place another tree. You're noticing now I'm using something called Grid Snap. From Grid Snap, you can change all the way from 32 down to 1. Now you're noticing if I go down to 1 and I place things in a row, I can get very symmetrical. And maybe there are some cases where you want the symmetry and you want it to look great. Now you can actually turn Grid Snap off completely. Maybe you want a tree halfway out under the ground. Or maybe you want to tilt a tree and have it kind of coming out of the ground. You know, this is what creative's all about. You can do whatever you want, right? And so they give you the tools to do that. With Grid Snap off, you're guaranteed to get the exact placement of the prop, the exact way that you want it. Now maybe you don't like that. You can go ahead and hit delete. Now you'll notice there on the left on the D-pad is delete for me using a controller. This may be different for you depending on your setup, so make sure to take a look on the left on what the delete button says. We're gonna go back to Prefabs. That's under the Creative tab at the top, and then Prefabs. Now, when we're under Prefabs, we can go ahead and choose a gallery that might be to our liking. Now, because this feels kind of woodsy to me, I'm gonna choose Lonely Lodge. And I'm gonna choose something from Lonely Lodge, something small. I don't want it to be too big. In this case, I think the cozy cabin is perfect. It's cozy, and it's exactly what I want for my map. So how am I gonna bring it into Fortnite Creative? Well, you'll notice something below called a quick bar. So first what you can do is hit open. If you open, you can take a look inside and you can see all the pieces available to this cozy cabin. Maybe you want to take pieces individually, but I actually want to bring the entire cabin. You're going to notice at the bottom there's something called a quick bar. Now, what you need to do to place it is hit A for equipped on an Xbox or hit the equipped button that's associated with the command on your machine. Next, you're going to see a quick bar pop up and it's going to ask you where do you want to place it. You can hit up on the D-pad or any one of those icons to select where you want to place the quick bar item. Don't worry, we're going to go over this again because I know it's a little bit confusing. All right, you're going to notice now when you select something from your quick bar, you're going to go ahead and bring it towards you by hitting pull. Now you'll notice there on the left you have push and pull. Down on the D-pad pulls it towards you, push pushes it away from you. Now I've noticed that pulling it forward is great, but now there's trees in the way. So this is not going to be what I want. I want to delete some of the trees that I placed to make room for my new cozy cabin. So what I can do once again is hit delete by using left on the D-pad. The delete button is there on the left in case it's not a D-pad in your case. All right, so once again, we're going to go ahead and hit the back left trigger, and then we're going to hit up on the D-pad because that's where we saved into our quick bar. Then we're gonna go ahead and place it down by using the trigger button, the same button you used to shoot the gun. And there you go. We have a beautiful cabin placed with furnishings inside, ready to go. This is great. We already have something on our island built, and now we can use this for whatever map we're trying to create. It could be an adventure map, battle royale map, zone wars map, or any game type that you choose. Now, if you click the trigger button and you use your grid snap, which we went over earlier, and the grid snap there is on the left, you can hit left on the D-pad. Now, what you can do is things like rotation, and rotation you can use by making sure you use the right trigger, the top right and left triggers, or look at the commands for rotate right and left by using the legend on the left side. Then you can go ahead and place trees around. The reason you see me rotate trees a lot is because you don't want them to look similar to one another. If you just copy paste, they can look rather boring. So I rotate them a little bit to give them a little bit of originality. Great. Now look at that. We have a little bit of beautiful design in front of our cozy cabin. But we're not done yet. I want to show you the quick bar one more time because I think I went too quick the first time. No pun intended. So now we're gonna go to another build. I'm gonna go to Stilted Cabin, and this time I'm gonna open it, okay? I'm not gonna actually place it in my quick bar. But now I'm gonna go to a prop in here that I wanna use that's not currently in the Cozy Cabin. And what I'm gonna do is place it into my quick bar. So what I'm gonna actually use is a light post right down here. Now what I'm gonna do is hit the equip button down there at the bottom and then choose where you wanna place it. Once that's chosen, you're gonna go back, hit the left back bumper, and then you're gonna go ahead and place this down after you've rotated and aligned where you wanna place this. Now, if it's grid snap 1, like we did with the cheese, it's too big of a change. I don't like how far it's going. And if grid snap is off, you'll notice it may not line up correctly. And I don't want that either. So you need to choose what's best for you. This is ending up looking like it would be really great as a grid snap 4. So I'm gonna leave it at grid snap 4. And all this is gonna do is help me line these up perfectly and make sure the symmetry is there. And I'll place that with drops on just so it places down perfectly. And look at that. Now we have some really cool lights at the front of our cozy cabin. But the fun doesn't stop there. Let's go ahead and continue. Now I wanna point something out. You're noticing I'm building on my map. Guys, I highly suggest not doing this. Don't build on your map, don't break props on your map. The reason for this is if you notice this, you can break your mats like that, or you can delete your mats actually by just using the phone. But I do not suggest building while you're creating. This can destroy things, and what you need to realize is whatever you build with mats doesn't go away. However, if you go to the menu and hit Start Game, now when you start your game, you can go ahead and build all you'd like. You can break trees, you can break buildings, you can break anything. And when you end the game, it will go back to the way it was before the game. However, if you build and break things without hitting play game, you will permanently break those things and you will have to rebuild it from scratch. And now what you'll notice is when I go ahead and end the game, the tree will reappear and the builds will disappear. So once again, if you're gonna break anything, or if you're gonna go ahead and build, make sure you hit Start Game first so it doesn't destroy your progress. All right, so we're gonna go back under My Island. You can do some really cool things in My Island, but the most important is back up. So hit that backup island under Tools. Make sure you're hitting backup all the time. This is a beginner thing I want you to learn because you're gonna make a lot of mistakes as a beginner. So backing up is so important. I cannot stress it enough. Once again, under My Island and Tools, you wanna hit backup. Now you'll notice it says last backup made 0 minutes ago. I can go ahead and hit that restore button if I want to restore in case I did something extremely destructive. All right, I hope this tutorial has been helpful so far. Now let's put on some finishing touches. Now we're gonna go ahead and do one last thing here. So now what we're gonna do is add a tent to the map. I wanna add a tent. So using that quick bar again, now let's try to remember what we learned. We hit equipped, we choose where we wanna place it on the quick bar by choosing an empty slot. On a PC, I believe you can click and drag it into the slot. And then what you're gonna do is rotate using the rotate command that you're seeing there on the left to get this right. Now, if your rotate is going up and down, you can change that by hitting the different rotate options. And you're seeing we're just adding elements to our map. in the matter of this small tutorial, we were able to create a really cool looking area on our map. Let's end by using one device. We're going to use the chest device. So go ahead and click Equipped on the device and place it into your quick bar. Then we're going to place this down anywhere. It doesn't matter because we're going to end up deleting these. And you'll notice it doesn't come with just one chest. It comes with 3 different types of chests and an ammo box. So now using what we learned, we're going to go ahead and use a grid snap and place these around using the trigger button. In some cases, you may once again want to make that grid snap a little bit less restrictive than 4. In this case, I think 8 would be better. And we want to line it up. You may want to have drops on to make sure the chest drops perfectly, or maybe you don't. Maybe you want the chest to float. That's what's great about creative. It is entirely up to you how you want to create. Now with ammo boxes, the same thing. You may want to place ammo boxes down if people aren't getting unlimited ammo in the game. Or maybe you just want people to have unlimited ammo. That's up to you. We'll show that off in a different video. When you're done, you can go ahead and delete these extra chests that you're not using. And voila, we created a map where people can land, now pick up guns, and fight each other. This is pretty cool. Guys, there is so much more to learn, and I am definitely not saying that this was the video that just taught you how to use creative. But what I'm hoping is that this video taught you the basics of what you need to learn to get your hands dirty and to get started. I'm going to link below a bunch of other great videos for you to now continue on to with your creative journey and learn how to build maps. You're going to be able to choose things like build a Zone Wars map, build a Battle Royale map, and so on. Make sure to check out the links below, and I'll make sure to update them regularly as I create new content. Thank you guys again for watching. I really hope you guys hit that like and subscribe button, as it will help me out so much. Until next time, take care.